Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024 Administrative Matters Meeting, public meeting. I hope that you all had a restful Labor Day holiday. Those of us who are able to celebrate Labor Day holiday, some folks still have to work. So, as is our tradition, we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you would be kind enough to join us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you once again. Appreciate you all being here. My name is John Kafalas, Commissioner from District 1, currently the Chair of the Board of County Commissioners. I'm here with my colleagues, Kristen Stevens from District 2, Jody Shattuck McNally from District 3. Across the way, we have Lindsay with the Clerk and Recorder's Office. She's recording this meeting and also taking notes. Of course, it's a public meeting that people can listen in. We have our County Manager, Lorenda Volker, Tom and Sarah from our Commissioner's Office, Public Affairs Office, so thank you all for being here. We'll begin with public comment. And according to the sign-up sheet, no one has signed up. There were two folks who signed up, but they'll be participating during one of our discussion items. Sarah, has anyone called in to sign up for public comment this morning?
No, Commissioner.
Okay, thank you kindly. Before we close public comment, this is your last opportunity for claim to fame. If you would like to provide us with input for about 3 minutes, we would welcome that. Is there anyone here who wishes to do that, who's here in person? Seeing none, we will close public comment and we'll move on to approval of the minutes for August 26th, last week. Commissioner Shattuck McNally, please.
Certainly, Mr. Chair. I move to approve the minutes for the week of August 26, 2024.
Thank you very much. That is a proper motion. Any further discussion, colleagues? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 That passes 3-0. We're on a bit of a roll. Now we move on to review of the upcoming schedule. Sarah Martin, I believe you know that routine quite well.
This is the Commissioner's schedule for September 9th through the 14th, 2024. On Monday, September 9th, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., there will be a work session with Emily Humphrey, the Director of Community Justice Alternatives, in the Commissioner's Conference Room on the second floor. From 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may attend the State of Colorado Water Quality Control Commission meeting, Commission meet and greet and lunch at Northern Water at 220 Water Avenue in Berthoud. From 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m., Commissioners will participate in the virtual Estes Park Special Town Board Study Session regarding Visit Estes Park Operating Plan and SE funding. On Tuesday, September 10th, from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., there will be an Administrative Matters meeting in the hearing room on the first floor. From 12 p.m. to 1 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may participate in the virtual National Association of Counties Environment, Energy, and Land Use conference call. From 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m., administrative direction to county management in the Sprague Lake Conference Room on the second floor. From 6 p.m. to 7 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may attend the Daniels Fund Community Reception at Ginger and Baker at 359 Linden Street in Fort Collins. From 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., Commissioner Cavalis will attend the Environmental and Science Advisory Board meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it will be in the Carter Lake Conference Room on the first floor or virtually via Zoom. On Wednesday, September 11th, from 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m., Commissioner Cavalis will attend the Workforce Development Board meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it will be in the hearing room on the first floor or virtually via Zoom. From 11 a.m. to 12 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may participate in the virtual National Association of Counties Rural Action Caucus meeting. From 12:30 p.m. to 3 p.m., Commissioner Cavalis will attend the Agricultural Advisory Board meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it'll be at 1525 Blue Spruce Drive in Fort Collins or virtually via Zoom. From 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., there will be a Commissioner/Planning Commissioner work session in the Boyd Lake Conference Room on the first floor. On Thursday, September 12th, from 8:30 a.m. to 11 a.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally will attend the Northern Colorado Health Network Open House at 400 Remington Street in Fort Collins. From 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., Commissioner Stevens will participate in the virtual Middle Income Housing Authority Finance Subcommittee meeting. From 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may attend the Larimer County Interagency Oversight Group meeting in the Carter Lake Conference Room on the first floor. From 12 p.m. to 1 p.m., Commissioner Stevens will host a virtual listening session. From 1:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may attend the Office on Aging Advisory Council meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it will be at 1501 Blue Spruce Drive in Fort Collins or virtually via Zoom. From 3 p.m. to 4 p.m., Commissioner Stevens will participate in the virtual Fort Collins Urban Renewal Authority Finance Committee meeting. From 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m., Commissioners may attend the Neighbor to Neighbor Welcome Home Benefit at the Lincoln Center at 417 West Magnolia Street in Fort Collins. On Friday, September 13th, from 8:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m., Commissioners will attend the Innovation Awards ceremony in the hearing room on the first floor. On Saturday, September 14th, from 9:30 a.m. to 11 a.m., the Commissioners will host a budget public meeting at the Old Town Library at 201 Peterson Street in Fort Collins. And from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m., Commissioner Cavalas will host story time at the Farmers Market at 200 West Oak Street in Fort Collins.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you very much. Colleagues' feedback, Commissioner Shattuck McNally.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Sarah, for all your work, and Melissa, we appreciate it. I have a few things to add. Back on September 10th, first, I'm sorry, let me go back to September 9th. I believe that I will be heading up at 1 o'clock to the Growing Water Smartly with the Sonoran Institute on Estes Park from 1 to until the special town board meeting, and then I'll probably attend the barbecue after that, which is after that meeting, I believe, with that Growing Smart Water. You can get details from our CPERS director, Leslie Ellis. And then on Tuesday, probably won't be able to fit that all in, but I do have a lure board meeting that I'm sharing Tuesday, September 10th from 4:30 to 6. And then I'll head up to the Daniels Fund event. And then I'm going on Wednesday, the 11th. I'll be at the in the morning, I believe, with the Sonora Water Smart Institute in Estes Park, and I'll go there after. That's from 9 to 12, and then I'll do my rural action meeting virtually up there. Then we have a work session on Thursday, the 12th. Did you put on the Thursday? Yes. So then on Friday, the Innovation Awards, but on Saturday, just in case my colleagues come too, but I am attending the Saturday the 14th after a budget meeting. I'm sponsoring a square at Pastels on 5th, which is near the Loveland Museum, and I'm going to be there from whenever our budget meeting is over until about 1 o'clock, and then I'll be at the Heart and Soul Latin Aid Heritage Month from 1 to 3, and then and that is downtown at Foot Lagoon in Loveland. And then at 5 to 8 o'clock, we'll be at the Estes Valley EVIX. I don't remember what EVIX, their gala at Seven Keys Lodge on Saturday night. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yes, Commissioner Stevens.
Yeah, I will also be at the Growing Water Smartly event on the Monday. I think it's 1 to 5. So we'll need to add that, although I feel like in looking at that, I deleted it off my calendar. So I am going to that, though. And then on the only other thing that I wanted to add was on Wednesday, September 11th, I will be attending the 2025 Strategic Highway Safety Plan Greeley Workshop session from 11:30 to 1. Thank you. That's it for me.
Thanks,
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just looking at that Monday, the seminar, the afternoon on the Water Smart. I think all three of us are attending. I thought I saw it on one of the calendars, so I think we should reflect that all three of us are planning to attend. One of the things that we'll need to clarify is we have a Visit Estes Park special town board meeting at 5 p.m., which I believe is a Zoom. And if we're up in Estes, up until 5, we'll either need access to a computer or maybe they'll have us in person somewhere. Miranda, do you have any insights there?
I'll check on that. Now that you all are all going to the water event, I'll check with Estes and see how they want to conduct this. There's
Okay.
many people involved from different organizations, so they may stick with Zoom, but maybe the town would give you all some space in their building.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot. I think that's all, Sarah. I'm good. Appreciate it.
Thank
Let's move on, please. The next item on the administrative matters agenda is consent items. As most people know, consent agenda items are typically very routine in nature, administrative, non-controversial, and I go through the list rather quickly, especially because we have at least 5 or so discussion items, very important things, proclamations, and other things to consider. So that is the consent agenda. And as I've said in the past, and I'll say it again to remind folks, all of the details of what the documents that are on the consent agenda are online. And if you wish to review them or see them or read them, they are yours to review. They are public documents. So the first area under consent agenda is the category is abatements. There are actually 18 petitions for abatement or refund of taxes. They exceed the allotted refund amounts of $10,000. Values are adjusted again, and these are all mostly for tax year 2023. So there are 18 abatements or refund of taxes. The next category, agreements. The first agreement is an IGA or intergovernmental agreement concerning the Prairie Ridge Addition. This is a corrected version of the IGA that was signed by the commissioners on August 6, 2024. An update was necessary to clarify the sale price of the property. The county contribution and responsibilities remain unchanged. By way of background, this is a 140-acre Prairie Ridge Addition. Prairie Ridge Addition is being acquired by the city of Loveland with partnership funding from Fort Collins, Great Outdoors Colorado, and Larimer County. Our contribution, the county's contribution, is $400,000 from the Help Preserve Open Spaces Sales Tax Initiative, or Sales Tax Funds, and this is towards the acquisition. The terms are not applicable. Named parties I've already stated, and I've already stated the dollar amount. This will be held as a conservation easement by the county, and it's another example of cooperation and collaboration between the various jurisdictions to preserve open space and natural areas, which most of us deem as a very important value for a variety of reasons. The next item is AIA document A101-2017 and AIA document A102-2017 B24-06 North Landfill Infrastructure Construction. So this pertains to the North Landfill north of Wellington. This contract is for the development of the County North Landfill, which will be located on County Road 9, north of Wellington, approximately 5 miles. This project is comprised of the construction of the initial infrastructure for the landfill, the primary infrastructure components to be developed to support landfill operations, a new scale facility, a new maintenance building, utilities, roadways, stormwater controls, as well as exterior improvements, including fencing and landscaping. So this is a big deal. We've been working on this very intently with our partners for quite a number of years. The term is September 3rd, 2024 today through project completion. Substantial completion scheduled for November 1st, 2025. The named parties, of course, the county, the commissioners, Colorado, and Connell Resources, Inc. The total dollar amount is $13,428,299.90. I'm sure you can check on that in a year or so. Typically, with our capital improvement projects, we are on budget or under budget. We do our best to be good fiscal stewards. The next agreement, this one has to do with open space as well. Intergovernmental agreement concerning the Rocky Ridge Conservation Project. The Rocky Ridge parcel was acquired by the city of Fort Collins for $5.1 million, and the city is requesting Larimer County partner $1.5 million towards this land acquisition. This is located in the Larimer County Open Space Lands Master Plan's Buckeye Conservation Area, the northeastern part of the county. The property meets county and land conservation goals, protects important wildlife habitat, boasts significant views, and will be managed as a future natural area for nature-based public access. The county will partner with Help Preserve Open Space sales tax dollars towards the city of Fort Collins per acquisition, and to hold this as a conservation easement on the property. The term begins upon signature today, and the total dollar amount is, as I mentioned, $1.5 million towards the acquisition. The next category has to do with appointments. Take a breath. Recommended midterm appointment for the Pinewood Springs PID, Public Improvement District. This is to appoint an individual to a midterm appointment to the Pinewood Springs PID beginning today, ending November 30th, 2027. That individual is Thomas Maggio, or Maggio perhaps. Recommended midterm appointment to the Estes Park Library District Board. The person is Julie Abel. Appoint Julie to a midterm appointment to the Estes Park Library District Board beginning today, ending December 31, 2025. And the next appointment is also to the Estes Park Library District Board, Jan Wright. This is a full-term appointment beginning January 1, 2025, and ending December 31, 2028. Typically, appointments to boards and commissions are 3-year terms. There's one notable exception. Board of Health, which is statutory, is a 5-year term. Next category, liquor licenses. Liquor license, special event liquor permit, 6%, athletes in tandem. This is Loveland, Colorado. The license type, special event liquor permit, approval and issuance. The second is liquor license, special event, also liquor permit, 6%, similar, Loveland, Colorado, approval and issuance. The third is liquor license, special event liquor permit, 6%, Friends of Laughing Buck Farm. This is Fort Collins, approval and issuance. The next category is miscellaneous. Let's see. AEI net lease stipulation as to tax years 2021. There are various stipulations here. There are two. Stipulation is an adjustment to the property value, and the second one is Shane Dwayne Henry and Marcy Faith Henry stipulation. And both of these, well, the first is the tax years 2021 and 2022. And the second is tax year 2023. Item number 3 is legal action for code compliance case 16-CCC-0106 consolidated with 24-CCC-0015, Code Compliance Department Division, requests the board to authorize legal action for the reference code compliance case. We've been working with the property owner since 2016 and continues to expand and add illegal uses, renting out RVs, rooms with single-unit dwelling, etc., without proper planning approval. Additionally, there are several building code violations. Code compliance staff is working with the assistant county attorneys, Frank Haug and Christine Luckison. So that is that legal action, giving approval to move forward. And then finally, statement of authority. This authorizes Justin Core, our senior land agent, to execute closing documents associated with county's, the Natural Resources Department conveyance of a conservation easement on the Heaven's Door Ranch west of Loveland near the Sylvandale Ranch, property to the city of Loveland and the city of Fort Collins as described in the resolution approving the conveyance of a conservation easement on the Heaven's Door Ranch property dated August 27th, 2024. And again, this allows one of our staff members, our senior land agent, to execute some of the documents. That is all. Colleagues, I forgot to mention, we can pull something off the consent agenda if we so choose. Do either of you choose to do that?
No, I do not, Mr. Chair.
Oh, nor do I. Therefore, Commissioner Stevens, I believe it is your turn to offer the proper motion.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I move to approve the consent agenda for September 3rd, 2024.
Thank you very much. Proper motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That passes 3-0. The next item is commissioner guests. I don't believe we have any commissioner guests this morning, so we can now move on to discussion items. The first discussion item has to do with board consideration of a resolution regarding a proposed 0.15% sales and use tax for transportation purposes, and this would be on the upcoming November 2024 ballot. We have some good folks here. I will stop talking now and welcome our guests and look forward to your presentation.
Good morning. We have to do our two-step authentication before we can present the slides to you. So I can probably get started while we do that. Good morning, Commissioners. Leslie Ellis, Community Planning, Infrastructure, and Resources Director. And I'm very pleased to be here today to present this resolution to refer a 0.15% sales and use tax for transportation to our November 5th, 2024 general election for voter consideration. And that resolution is in your packet. This presentation will lay out the process that we took to get to this point. The reason for this consideration includes a motion for the board to consider. And then we will also have some input from partners here today who will help carry this forward because, as you know, county staff can't talk about this item if it does go on the ballot, nor campaign for it. So I'd like to start with some introductions of the team. We've had a lot of folks who have contributed to this in many months of conversations and work to get to this point. Mark Peterson, our county engineer, who you saw a moment ago, will be part of the presentation today and has been quite the leader in helping to move this forward. Rusty McDaniel, our assistant county engineer, is here, as well as Todd Juergens, our road and bridge director. Eric Tracy, our senior civil engineer, was part of this process, and Katie Bilby, our business operations manager in engineering, as well as Lori Kadrich, who's here in the audience, our assistant county manager, Lorenda Volker, of course, our county manager, Michelle Bird, our communications director in the office. In our finance team, Tracy Hines, our sales tax manager, and Carol Block were both very valuable and supportive in helping to figure out the calculations and the coordination with the Department of Revenue, the DOR, as well as the resolution. Bill Rasu, our county attorney also helped draft, as you know, earlier iterations of the ballot language, and then this more current version and the final version that you see, as well as the resolution. Our consultants, Magellan Strategies and Felsberg, Holt, and Ulevig, have been very helpful and leaders in the polling, as well as the public information and the flip book that you see in putting that together. Of course, many community partners, especially the municipalities and CDOT and CSU folks. And then you'll hear today from Ann Hutchinson and Bill Becker from the Fort Collins and Loveland Chambers, respectively, whose boards both voted to support this ballot measure if it should move forward. And they have some comments prepared this morning after this presentation. And then thank you also to the Board of County Commissioners for the many conversations we've had as you've heard the information and asked us to continue to explore this and discuss it in the community, as well as your direction to date on this important issue. So stepping back, just a moment here, if we can get the slides to advance. Let's see. Uh-oh, I might need Mark again. Let's see if this works this way. There we go. Okay, so just to describe how we got here, an important step, of course, was earlier this year when the county commissioners, when you voted to support and adopt the 2024 to 2028 strategic plan, and that addresses service gaps in our community in a wide variety of areas, including transportation. And that led us to that goal area 3, which includes an objective to address current and future transportation needs and identify long-term sustainable funding for capital projects. So that was an important first step. And then we, after that adoption, we got to work doing some transportation planning and began putting some questions together to ask the community what they thought was important. And we weren't sure at that time we'd move forward with a ballot initiative, but we did, and Magellan supported a poll in mid-April, and we heard from over 3,500 residents who not only said that in an uninformed ballot test that over 60% of them said that they would vote yes for a 0.15% sales tax if asked, if it was on the ballot, but also gave us their list of priorities and the items that they saw as being really important as part of this. And you can see that on the slide here, that safety, maintenance, intersections, pedestrian and bike improvements are high priorities among other items. So we continued the discussions then at that point with our partners in the community. We put more information together to help assess more what people were interested in and share that information. And we crafted several versions of the ballot language. And the version that you have here today is final, although it sounds like we'll take out that last bit on with the resolution number, because we actually don't have a resolution number. So we'll come back to this ballot language here at the end of the presentation and discuss what's in the ballot language itself. But after all of this work and discussions in the community, we think that this ballot request is reasonable and supportable and would significantly help us achieve our county goals around transportation. If you approve this resolution, it would refer the sales and use tax to the November 5th ballot and direct the Larimer County clerk and recorder to complete the required newspaper publications as well as the Tabor notice that lead up to the election. The resolution includes the required provisions for sales and use tax proposals, and it has been reviewed for completeness by the Department of Revenue or DOR. And then ultimately voters would be the ones to decide whether or not to approve the tax. So it refers it to the ballot. We have put together some, I think, very helpful public information. You have it in a flip book version that looks like this. It also lives online on the larimer.gov transportation funding. And I am going to turn it over to Mark Peterson at this point to share with you what's in that public information. You have seen this information before, so this part of the presentation may be more for the benefit of the public or others who haven't seen it or heard it. So bear with us, but I think there's a lot of really good, helpful information here to share. So I'll pass it over to
Thank you.
Mark.
Thank you very much, Leslie.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mark Peterson, County Engineer. Thanks for the time to be here this morning. So we prepared back in advance of doing the polling, we prepared public information that was put out on the county's website that people could refer to if they wanted more information in terms of the questions we were asking them during that polling effort. So this was information that was put up there again before the polling went live in April, and it's been up there throughout the course of this information activity that we've been undertaking. So the little flipping book that you have there is what I'm going to go through. So it goes into, where does Larimer County get its sources for funding? And as a general entity, we're no different than any other governmental entity in terms of a city or a municipality or a county. We get our revenues from generally one of four sources: property tax, sales tax, grants, or service charges for services that are provided by different departments or offices here at the county. In terms of property tax, what we tried to inform the public of is what of that, what could be viewed as a fairly substantial property tax bill is actually going for transportation work here at Larimer County. So the example we have here is a $600,000 residential property, pays about $3,500 in property tax. Of that, about $800 is used to fund Larimer County services, and a portion of that goes to the Road and Bridge Department through the Road and Bridge Mill Levy. That amounts to basically $15 of that $800 coming to Larimer County. Statutorily, there's a shareback provision that requires of the Road and Bridge Mill Levy, about 40% of that goes to the municipalities. So of that $800 Larimer County property tax bill, $9 is going to maintain and improve the county road system. In terms of sales tax, as you well know, there are 4 dedicated sales tax increments here at Larimer County. 3 of the 4 of them have been in existence since the late 1990s. The ranch was originally voted on in the year 2000. Those 3 of them have been extended by the voters. The behavioral health sales tax is the newest of them that was enacted in 2019. So they total 0.8%, 80 cents on a $100 purchase. They can only be used for the dedicated ballot measure defined uses. So those really just go to open lands, behavioral health, the ranch, and the jail expansion. The point we wanted to make here is that no sales tax dollars go towards transportation, maintaining or improving county roads. Larimer County is the 6th largest county in the state, both in terms of area at 2,600 square miles as well as population. Pretty much if you travel anywhere west of the communities of Loveland or Fort Collins or anywhere on the Front Range, unless you're on US 34 or State Highway 14, you're going to be on a county road to get up there. So the county roads provide the network for access to the western 2/3 or 3/4 of our county. We also provide much of the grid road system, the 1-mile grid pattern on the Front Range here. So we're providing a lot of that access between communities on a daily basis. We used as an example County Road 3080 of a road that's a county road. It extends, 3080 is Harmony Road. So if you go west of Taft Hill Road on 3080, you're headed towards Masonville, you're going around the south end of Fort Collins. So we looked at data describing the users of that road, and basically 83% of the trips on County Road 3080 originate from one of the county's 8 municipalities. So that's sort of an example of a county road providing access to people throughout Larimer County. Largely, it's probably being used to access, Horsetooth Reservoir or areas to the west. 5% of those trips are from visitors coming from outside of Larimer County. Again, Horsetooth Reservoir is one of the more popular reservoirs in the state in terms of recreational use. But we also have County Road 23 that runs along the hogback, and that's very heavily used by people wanting to access the trails, swim beach, areas along the reservoir, as well as bicyclists wanting to take that route. It's a very popular recreational route. In terms of funding for county road maintenance and improvements, and we want to differentiate and explain, maintenance is basically the routine activities that take care of the existing road system and try to keep it in good, safe working order. So that's pothole repair, crack filling, chip sealing, asphalt overlays, structural patching, blading gravel roads, snow removal, and the like. And then when we get to improvements, we're really talking about new infrastructure projects that upgrade or improve, replace existing bridges, widen existing roadways or add shoulders to them to enhance safety and provide resiliency and the like. Right now, over the past 10 years, it's taken about $22 million a year to maintain our existing road system. And we have a very limited budget available to do improvements. So, as you know from the performance measures that you went through, the Road and Bridge Department is doing a fabulous job maintaining our road system. We have our roads in good repair and order, but we have a lot of improvements that need to be made to address safety needs and the like that come about through aging of infrastructure as well as just use and demands on that infrastructure. So a lot of that's being brought about by growth. We're a very popular place to live and work and recreate. So the projections are that the Front Range and Larimer County are going to continue to grow pretty dramatically. It's indicating that our population could reach $490,000 by the year 2050. And our communities are pretty mobile and they're interconnected. So this plot demonstrates or identifies or is intended to illustrate travel patterns on a commuting basis between communities. And this is just inside of Larimer County. It's not taking into account trips from outside the county. So a lot of travel between Fort Collins and Loveland, but also Windsor, other communities. 70% of the residents and employees commute outside of the community where they live to work. As well, everything's gotten more expensive over the years, and transportation certainly is no exception. These are some ideas of general costs to make improvements to our road system. $1 to $4 million to improve an intersection, about $5 million a mile to make fairly major safety and bicycle pedestrian improvements, $1 to $5 million to replace a bridge, and about $3 million a mile to pave a gravel road. And those costs, unfortunately, are always subject to inflation and cost increases. Unfortunately, our needs far exceed our available funding currently. We have only about $7 million a year to devote to capital improvements countywide. So if you go back to the slide identifying the costs of improvements, we don't have much money to do a whole lot on our county road system. We try to certainly leverage and go after grants where we can to try to leverage our limited available resources. We've been pursuing grant opportunities that have come out through the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. If you go back, and this identifies the needs that were identified in our 2017 Transportation Master Plan. At that point in time, we had about $750 million in unfunded county improvement needs, or I should say we had about $750 million in identified improvement needs over the period through 2040, but only about 14% of that was funded using available resources. If you took and went down to focus just on the high and medium priority needs, we still had a pretty significant funding gap. So that's part of the focus for really trying to identify a source of funding to address transportation needs on our system. A dedicated funding source would allow us to make significant progress in addressing a wide variety of needs. As Leslie indicated, safety is a very high priority for people who use our transportation network. But it's improving safety, addressing safety needs, improving intersections, adding sidewalks, addressing multimodal needs out on the system, improving access to transit, and maintaining and improving our roads, our bridge system. A portion of sales tax is paid by visitors. The statistics we have indicate that that's about 10% is paid by visitors. The other thing that a large payer of sales tax is certainly the student population that comes to our city every year. They're not property owners, they don't pay property tax, but they purchase, goods while they're here, and so they're contributing to sales tax funding as well. So we've pursued grants as we have the opportunity, and so we're again diligently pursuing that. But this 0.15% sales tax would allow us to match grant funding or partner with other entities on significant projects of interest to us and the community in terms of trying to address Taft Hill Road and trying to, finalize that half-mile widening project between Harmony and Horsetooth that we've still got about a $2.5 million gap is an example of a project that's a high priority to us. So community benefits are pretty wide and far-ranging. I won't go through all of them, but, they cover resiliency, access to housing, certainly safety, mobility, access to recreation, all of our open spaces pretty much have to be accessed by a county road. This is an exhibit that's actually Exhibit A to the resolution as well that identifies projects that are largely coming out of our transportation master plan or on our capital improvements program. They're high priority projects. They're identified needs that are out there that we do not have the funding to complete. I mean, some of these are in the design process and we're pursuing, how do we get them on the ground? But as you know from prior work sessions, in the absence of additional funding for transportation improvements, we go in the hole in a couple of years. We don't have the funding. We will have to back off on projects that are on our current capital improvements program. We'll be able to carry forward the design and we'll be chasing grant funding or other ways to fund them, but we will not have the ability to carry them forward to construction. And that's part of the reason, that's part of the result. If we don't have this additional funding, we'll be saying, yeah, we know it's a need. It's a high priority for us. We will have some roads that we've been holding off overlaying. They're to the point where they need to be overlaid. The challenge is if we overlay a road, it's going to stay that way probably for the next 15 years. And we need to be able to take a step back and address the capital improvement need on that roadway. We are very committed to being transparent through this process, so we'll be coming back to you on an annual basis, reporting what we've accomplished, what's in the plan, as well. Our website will, be identifying what projects are underway, how they're being funded, and what their schedule is for completion and the like. So with that, I'll turn it over to back to Leslie.
Okay, thank you, Mark. So the resolution that you have in your packet starts on page 30 in your packet, and you can see the language here referring it to the ballot for November 5th. There actually is no resolution number, so we'll make that correction for the version that you sign. But as you can see, this comports with the needs to refer it to the county clerk. So I'll quickly walk you through what's in the resolution and how that relates to the ballot item. The first two pages convey the purpose of it, and they very much follow what you just heard from Mark Peterson in the presentation as to why we would be doing this. And then it moves on into the sections. Sections 1 through 5 in particular address the sales and use tax applicability, the exemptions, the conditions, the collection methods. This is all the language that's been reviewed and approved by the Department of Revenue on page 3 of that resolution. The next two sections, sections 6 through 8, describe the effective date. So if approved, the tax would begin on January 1st of 2025 and would go through December 31st of 2039. Those sections also describe how the tax is used, how the revenues are kept separated from other county revenues to ensure that they're spent on transportation. The next section 9 includes the actual ballot title and question for November 5th that you just saw on the screen, and we'll come back to that in just a moment. Sections 10 through 12 address that the proceeds from the tax, again, must be spent on transportation, and they reiterate and provide a bit more detail as to what was in the ballot language, and explaining that the expenditures can also be used for planning, design, construction, operations, maintenance, so the full gamut of work related to those projects for transportation. Section 12 also refers to that Exhibit A that you saw from Mark with the list of projects and map. Section 13 addresses transparency again for capital projects and talks about the community input and methods for making sure that the community is included in the process and that the report would be published annually and presented to the board, as well as maintaining a public webpage that's dedicated to detailing the allocation of funds and the progress of projects and related activities. And then finally, sections 14 to 24 describe how this gets referred to the ballot through the county clerk, publishing and the TABOR requirements, severability. This was also reviewed by our sales tax staff in the Department of Revenue. Here is that list that you saw previously and the map that's in the attachment A. And then the ballot language again. And this reflects, as you recall, several discussions in July and August where we had different options that Bill had prepared and presented. And then this was the hybrid version that reflects your direction and input, as well as the priorities that we saw in the poll from the public as far as the types of projects that they're interested in seeing. The one change that we'll make, should you approve this, and then we'll have that version in front of you for the signature, is that the very last line would, rather than reference a resolution number, would reference in accordance with the Board of County Commissioners resolution adopted on September 3rd. So it would just reference the adoption date, not a resolution number. So a very minor change to the language should you approve it. And then the proposed motion that we have included in your packet and put before you is to approve the resolution, should you choose to do that. At this point, we will either answer questions that you may have, and then we also have Bill and Ann here who can make some comments after your questions or before your questions, whichever you prefer.
Thank you, Leslie. I was going to suggest the following, that at this time, if my colleagues have any questions of our staff, our county engineer, and our community planning, infrastructure, and resources director, this would be a great time to offer those questions. And then we'll invite our guests up to say a few words, and then we can have an opportunity at the end to offer comments or perhaps additional questions. So at this time, do either of my colleagues have any questions for Leslie or for Mark? Commissioner Shattuck McNally? Oh, and then I'm.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Leslie and Mark, thank you for an excellent presentation. I know we've had a few work sessions and conversations about this, so a lot of this is just reviewing and reinforcing the great need for this. My question is, we've been kind of really studying this in depth since about 2019 because of the growth and the changes with people coming to this beautiful, wonderful county. And I'm curious, I see, and the reason I asked this question, I drove up through Estes and they're almost completed with some of their construction projects, road transportation projects along with the state, which was very nice and no potholes. It was great to drive through without having to maneuver around potholes and things. So it's looking great. And so I know those were things that we were looking at as partners back then. What, as we approach this, are some of those taken in consideration? And are we looking at county roads? We know that this impacts our partners throughout the county, but things have grown and changed. So my question is, has the list gotten longer with the aging bridges and infrastructure? And is there still some of those older projects that were back then, or has growth really pushed things so differently that it's kind of a new picture? Does that make sense, my question?
I think so. And Mark can come on up too to help tag team with me on some of these answers. But yes, the list that we've shared actually came out of our 2017 Transportation Master Plan. And we're doing another master plan for transportation here even this year and into next year. So there may well be other projects that get identified, and that list has not shortened. If anything, it's probably gotten longer. What this tax would do is enable us to partner more with the local municipalities, but not fund projects that are in municipalities. But we have, as you know, many projects that are at the edges of or are in what we call our growth management areas of the municipalities. And so, with an approved tax for transportation, it would give us a lot more opportunities to leverage our funding and work with our partners on some of those local projects. So I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah, the list has not gotten any shorter. It's probably gotten longer. We'll know more after this year or two when we've completed that newer plan as well. You want to add anything, Mark?
Again, I would just go back and say a lot of those projects that you're seeing on Exhibit A are coming out of even our 3 to 5 year capital improvements program, or needs that are out there even slightly beyond that 5-year list. If we use the CDOT terminology, they have a 10-year pipeline of projects, and I could see us working towards having that kind of look at our needs. So they are fairly immediate needs. They're ones that we can see coming. We collect data on our major bridge system. The state gives us information every 2 years, so we're keeping close track of what's going on out there, but the needs do increase.
That's what I assumed, but thank you. Excellent answers, and I appreciate, again, the work, the survey, the public input, talking with our partners. You guys have done an excellent job showing us, but also the public, why this is so important, and I appreciate your work. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Stevens.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for, you certainly have made the case why we need these dollars, and I appreciate the detailed list of, it's probably not exhaustive, but of the list of projects that we would fund, because I think it's really important for the public to understand, what are some of the projects that we're contemplating. Probably having that 10-year pipeline is a good idea to really prioritize those projects. But, I know that these projects are all important for safety and other reasons. I had a question. So I spoke to one of the Sertoma clubs last week, and one of the questions was, don't we pay money when we get our license? And so maybe you could talk just a little bit about some of those additional dollars. So we clearly get some, the $8 from the property tax. But what additional dollars do we get, and why isn't, I told them and why that's not enough, still not enough, but maybe you could just elaborate on that.
So the Road and Bridge Department, or transportation funding here at the county, really is coming from specific ownership taxes. So people, when they register a new vehicle or purchase a new vehicle, are paying specific ownership taxes. There is money coming in through the highway user tax fund at the state. So it's gas tax. The gas tax funds really haven't been increased in years, although the state, through Senate Bill 260, did implement a gas fee that we will start to see some revenue. But the short answer is that money is consumed doing maintenance on our existing road system, and there's really very little available to do the capital improvements.
Yeah, thank you. And that's what I tried to explain to this group. And I think they were understanding and really talking about how much these projects cost, was, I think, is pretty eye-opening to folks who don't understand how much it costs to expand a road or even pave a road, and why it's important for us to have those dollars to do that. So I think that when people sort of see this, this comprehensive look at why we need this, I think that, you've certainly made the case for why we need these dollars. But I appreciate that. That was the only question that I had. Thank you.
Thanks, colleagues. I have a question or two. Well, first of all, I noticed two typos on the resolution on pages 1 and 2. And so my question related to those two typos. One is the whereas that talks about the population protections. I believe the word should be projected. Is projected to be over 400,000. Yes?
I believe so, yes. And we can make those corrections for the version that you signed. Yes.
Very good. And the second is on the page 2. There's the word "to" is inserted. The second whereas from the top of the page, it says 2-4. I think the 2 needs to be deleted.
Okay. Thank you for your ever vigilant eye and catching those things so we can clean
Well,
them up.
truth be told, I was pretty vigilant the first 10 pages or so, and then I honestly became a bit less vigilant. And then perhaps my final question is a tiny bit more substantive, but it is important that we get all the words correct. And that is, in that same whereas that I just pointed out about the word "to," the preposition, it says whereas based on community input in 2024, the board adopted a strategic goal to identify sustainable funding for transportation. I'm curious, is that pertaining to all the survey work we started in the spring, or is that pertaining to the strategic plan that we adopted, the 2024-2028? Because if so, shouldn't that read something like in 2023 and 2024? I'm wondering if we need to clarify that or if I'm misunderstanding the intent of that whereas. Did you?
It did pertain to the strategic plan.
And didn't we get the input on that in 2020? A lot of it was in 2023.
Yes, we'll add 2024 to that. That's a good catch. Thank you.
2023.
2023 and 2024.
Great. So I'm glad I can serve a purpose around here sometimes. Thank you, colleagues. That's all I have. I appreciate all the hard work. So why don't we, at this time, I'd like to ask, let's see, we'll begin with our Fort Collins Chamber of Commerce CEO. Ann, if you would please come up, welcome. I'm certain you know the routine. If you would be kind enough to introduce yourself for the record and share your thoughts on this proposal and perhaps the role of the chamber. And then we'll ask our friend from the Loveland Chamber.
You bet. Good morning, Commissioners. Ann Hutchison, President and CEO of the Fort Collins Area Chamber. I'm here today as a citizen of Larimer County. I'm also here as President and CEO of the Chamber, but I'm also here as a business voice. And I want to start by also saying a lot of appreciation to your staff for the outstanding work that they have done in really understanding this crisis moment for you as a county and putting in the time and the effort to make sure that we fully understand these challenges as a community. What they're presenting to you today is really outstanding work. Also want to share a note of appreciation to you as commissioners. You've identified through your strategic planning process the need for this solution. And you didn't start with a solution, you started with really understanding the challenge and then brought forward, I think, a very thoughtful solution. A high-functioning transportation system is imperative to the success of business. And it doesn't matter if you're a home-based business or you have a storefront in downtown Fort Collins, if you're a primary employer, at the end of the day, if there is not a high-functioning system that allows people to get to your places, leave your places, whether that's customers, workers, or receiving goods and services, without a high-functioning system, business does not happen. And business is vital to community success. The Fort Collins Area Chamber strongly supports the 0.15 sales tax proposal that will create financial resources for transportation capital projects. We went through our classic process of evaluating and analyzing, and have had over 50 of your community members looking at this opportunity. And we stand today very much in support of the ballot proposal, and will be encouraging our members as well as the larger community to support this proposal by voting yes in November. Short and sweet is classically my style. So again, thank you for identifying this as a challenge. Thank you for empowering your staff to bring forward a very thoughtful solution that we do think will help to build community. And again, we stand in strong support of this proposal today.
Thank you very much, Ann. Bill, why don't you come on up, and then if my colleagues have any questions of you folks, we can offer those, and perhaps, we want to make sure we include our county manager in some of this discussion at the appropriate time. Welcome, sir.
Good. Thank you, Commissioners. A pleasure to be with you. Bill Becker, Loveland Chamber of Commerce. And I ditto Ann's comments, but I wanted to emphasize that our board had a very robust and thorough discussion of this issue. And one of the things that was particularly appreciated when I presented this to our board, they wanted to know specifics. And the fact that it was presented as was outlined in the slides with specific projects, and not all of them were in Loveland or Fort Collins regional. One of the things that we've been very strong in our effort to think regionally, recognize that we're all in this together. And it was refreshing to hear a number of our board members from Loveland say, well, this project, yes, it's Fort Collins, yes, it's up and out of our immediate area. It's still important to the matrix of how the safety and other factors play in to the county and specifically to our business interests. Our chamber board is made up of nonprofits, education folks, business folks, a wide spectrum. And to say the discussion was robust was an understatement. They really wanted to know, and when they got that sense of how transparent this has been, and I've seen this presentation a few times, it's always been directly spoken to. I was part of the configuration a few years ago that started this with some of the other commissioners, and we met in this room many times over the proposal to have an increased sales tax for these purposes. Driving up this morning, I'm remembering the support I felt for the effort, but the lack, and I want to be respectful, but there was more fluff in the sense of not specifics, and people couldn't get a grasp on what was really being asked for. We believe, and our board fully supports this, that what has been presented is clear, and notwithstanding the tax climate that we're in, this is an intelligent and right thing to support, and we're in it whole hog, as they say. I'll entertain any questions, but thank you very much for the time.
Thanks, Bill. Colleagues, do you have any particular questions for these two folks representing the two chambers of commerce? Yes, Commissioner Shattuck McNally.
Thank you. I guess I addressed this question to both of you. You spoke both of businesses, storefronts, and people maybe working from home, and goods and services. We also have businesses that I know both of your chambers and municipalities are very supportive of, and actually advocate for and proclaim about, is tourism. And as we know, we have, one area of the county, which is kind of my backyard. I spent a lot of time up there yesterday, which was good for me, that we have 4.5 million people coming through that part of the county and using county roads. And but also knowing, I think it was just said, Horsetooth was probably one of the most popular reservoirs in the state. So my question for both of you, this also is important for that industry, which I think is several $1 million a year. Would that be a correct statement? And what do you think about that comment?
It's always nice to see collaboration.
Yeah, and we collaborate a lot. Yeah, thank you for that, Commissioner. The tourism component is a very real element of particularly Loveland with 34, with the large volume of traffic going up to Estes. One of the things we realize is that the dollars requested are not adequate to the needs. However, I've come in discussions with your staff, which I'm very impressed with, the leveraging of what we do have in the context of larger state and federal grants, maybe in the context of tourism boards, who knows? But that intent at the outset is a very important component.
And certainly, many of these tourism-based businesses are a part of our organizations, and they absolutely see the impact of a high-functioning system on their ability to provide goods and services to guests that are making their way into our communities. So, in our mind, the sales tax ends up being a win-win. Certainly, citizens have that opportunity to invest, but so do guests to our community. That 10% number I actually think is a little bit low, based on many of the reports that we've seen, and that's a win for this county. That outside community members are coming here, purchasing goods, and that those dollars then provide an opportunity for us locally.
Thank you. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner, do you have any questions at this time?
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, colleagues. Nor do I. So at this point, we'll, did you folks have something else?
Nope,
We
we were just going to put the motion back up on the screen if that's helpful. And then
sure, I
otherwise
believe
we don't have anything else for you.
that's fine, and I believe we have it in our packet as well, but it would be helpful
Yes.
for the public. So at this time, I think it's more than appropriate if my colleagues, as well as our county manager, have any closing comments, thoughts, some level of deliberation. And let's begin with Commissioner Stevens.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, thank you for everyone who came to speak today. We really appreciate the support from the chambers as we move forward with this resolution. I will say, a lot of the work that we do at the county level isn't necessarily glamorous work. I probably spend, I would say, 12 to 15 hours a month in transportation meetings. Both regional transportation meetings and statewide transportation meetings, really trying to make our transportation network work. The fact of the matter is there just aren't enough grant dollars to be able to support all the work that we want to do. We do know where those grant dollars are, but there's just not enough. CDOT hasn't identified enough dollars. And so we're really left with these gaps that have been identified today. And we can access some of those grant dollars, certainly, and we will have now, if this passes, if this tax would pass, we would have enough dollars to do that. But we have been looking at things regionally, and I really appreciate the efforts that we've done regionally. We work with Weld County in the North Front Range Metropolitan Planning Organization. We work with Weld and Morgan County in the Upper Front Range Transportation Planning Region. And so we are doing this regional work and understanding that these roads don't, stop needing support when they move into a different county. So all that being said is that there is a need in our community, and we can't not support some of these safety measures or these measures that help people in our community move around. And so I am definitely supporting this motion, this resolution. I hope that the community supports it as well. Many of the places that we need to go, whether it's for work or recreation, are places that have been identified in the roads that we are looking to fix. There also is, obviously in the wheel that was shown of why we need this, emergency services and resiliency for our community. We know that we have had emergency situations that have taxed our roads, and we really need to keep those roads up to snuff so that they can handle the kind of movement that we see, especially during emergency situations. So I'm highly supportive of this. I appreciate staff for identifying the need. Those projects that people saw that were different roads in our community are also attached to the resolution. Because we did want to have that specificity. We understand that that's important when people look at a tax, that they understand where their tax dollars are going. And both this resolution and the presentation have shown that these will be used for specific projects in our community. Like I said, not an exhaustive list, but certainly things that we've identified that we would like to fix and improve in our county. So I'm I enthusiastically support this. I appreciate all staff's work. I appreciate the support from the chambers, and I look to our community to say, to see that this is a real need that we've had. We're asking for what I feel like is a fairly modest amount, and I understand people's, have a lot of financial difficulties right now. But we have specifically asked for a modest amount because we feel like we can use these dollars to leverage other dollars, and because we do not want to put a high tax on our community. But we also don't want to ignore the needs that we have. And, these are, bridges and roads are important, not only to get us places, but they need to be safe. And so we want to move our community safely through the community, and this tax will help us do so. So thank you to everyone involved.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Shattuck McNally, thoughts?
First, thank you to our chamber partners and all the voices of businesses and nonprofits that you represent. And I'm thankful for their support and for their thoughtful review of this project and of this importance of this potential ballot initiative. This is something that impacts pretty much everyone who comes into Larimer County or lives in Larimer County. And when we talk about county commissioners and the county impacting your daily life, which I talk about a lot lately, which I always have, this is one of those things. And it's safety, it's jobs, it's economics, and it's also just giving people options. But mostly, I think about traffic congestion. Being right now the only commissioner that lives in unincorporated Larimer County, a lot of these roads I have to travel to a lot. I use a lot of county roads to get here and there to do almost everything. My family has to get to work. We have to buy groceries. We have to recreate, which I did this weekend a little bit, but I also did work yesterday. So it's important for those roads to be safe, and for there's a lot of recreation opportunities of bicyclists and folks around my home that use those roads. They need safety, and it's really important overall for so many things that have been listed and talked about here today. I want to thank and commend staff for their continued fantastic job bringing up this case and bringing up this information. We had great, robust conversations and heard from those community leaders, and we had the budget strategic summit when we had over 100 folks come. This has been information and asked for a long time. That's why I asked about the list. Has it some of these things I've seen gotten done, but have they gotten better, or the list is still there and the list has gotten longer? These needs are not going away. And with more folks being tourists and all the folks that love to recreate inside our county, this is why they love to live here, the quality of life. You have to invest in things that help that quality of life. Things are not going to get fixed on their own. And one thing that why I support this ballot initiative is Commissioner Stevens and all of us and our federal partners and our staff have worked very hard since I've been commissioner to leverage those funding dollars and looking for grant opportunities. And they sometimes come and they sometimes don't come. And so we kind of paused whether we can move forward on certain projects because we don't have the funding. To me, having this dedicated sales tax allows for prudent planning and strategic planning for what are the priorities. And then you don't just pave a road overnight. And I can see our road and bridge folks in the audience. And since we just had roads around my neighborhood improved and had some maintenance on them, it is quite an effort to get all that coordinated with our contract partners and our staff. And things like wildfires interrupt that, and evacuations, and those are all things that are part of this important need in our community. But I think having that stable, prudent, planned out sales tax that we could have can help us advance these projects and get them done, and the priority list. And this will not get them all solved. These are priority projects, and transportation and infrastructure, if anyone has been paying attention the last few years, is a lot of money. and resources, but it is so important for the health and welfare of our communities. Again, staff, great job. I think for me, talking about regional, thinking regionally, I don't know of anyone who stays within their municipality every week and never leaves for other things. And to know that we support the whole county as a region, because this impacts, you never know who's traveling down from Livermore or Red Feather to come work in Loveland. And that happens. I know those folks. That's a lot of driving, but that's how they live, right? And so I think this is hitting a lot of needs, and community safety and resiliency and emergency access are some high ones for me. And just bringing mobility opportunities to our community. So with that, I think this is a well thought out, transparent, accountable, and prudent choice for what we need here in the our county and our communities. And I appreciate again staff bringing this to us, and we've done a lot of homework, we've done a lot of research. This has been well thought out and presented, and I want to thank Ann. I really like I think I wrote that, highly functioning system. We need to have that for a lot of reasons, and so I appreciate that, and I will be supporting this resolution. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. So I have a few thoughts, and then we'll see if our county manager wishes to add anything, and then I will ask Commissioner Stevens to make the motion. I realize I'm a little bit out of order. We typically alternate, but I've got it figured out so that the item number 5 that motion will be offered by Commissioner Shattuck McNally. So changing things up a little bit. So in addition to what my colleagues have said, I mean, ultimately we are referring this proposed ballot measure to the voters to decide. I think anytime we ask the voters for their hard-earned money to support public works for the common good, we have to be very careful, cautious, thoughtful. And I think our team has been very careful, cautious, and thoughtful about this process, getting input from the community through various means. It's been identified that this is a high priority for a lot of folks. I think that this proposal, which I will also be supporting, aligns well with a number of our strategic plans. There's reference to the 5-year strategic plan in the resolution, the 24-2028 strategic plan, the importance of a dedicated source of funding, transportation funding, our overall economic and workforce strategy. I think one of the data points that's very compelling is that 70% of the folks commute out of where they live to go to work. And if we can all relate to our favorite intersections or roadways where there's a traffic jam or traffic congestion, I have a couple of mine, but I won't get into it. I just think this aligns well with our regional efforts regarding how do we support the workforce, how do we support sustainable economic development, all of those things. I think another important thing is, our public health. We will, and also our efforts around sustainability and climate smart, future ready. We know that if cars are idling in a traffic jam, there's more air pollution, and this will help with improving our air quality and our public health. It also helps to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and many of us deem that to be very important. So I think in a number of ways it aligns well with what the county is trying to focus on. It is really encouraging, and a lot of gratitude to our private sector folks who are willing to step up and help this campaign in whatever appropriate ways are determined. I think there are a lot of community benefits, as Mark articulated in the presentation, helps with housing, traffic, a variety of things, public safety. And I guess in closing, I would offer that I think this is a really important step. Ultimately, if the voters approve it, they have that choice. But I think this will help a great deal in terms of helping us to, as we update our transportation master plan or safety action plan, et cetera, to look at a comprehensive, high-functioning, multimodal transportation system. And in particular, I'm hoping it'll give us some more options for addressing connectivity issues. We all know folks from Wellington, folks from the mountain communities, folks from LaPorte don't have many choices in how to get to their appointments and how to get to their jobs. They pretty much have to drive unless they're privileged enough to ride a bicycle along the Poudre Trail or somewhere that way. So I think this is a well thought out proposal. It's up to the voters to decide. We don't take it lightly that we're asking, for more money from people's pockets. This is a sales tax proposal. It's based on what you buy. It's dedicated. It will not go for any other purpose other than transportation. So that is my soliloquy at the moment. I'd like to see if, Lorenda, would you like to add anything, please?
I'll keep it short. I think you all have said most everything. I do want to thank our partners. The process of talking about this initiative with the partners has been a really good experience for our staff. The questions that got asked, the rigor around those conversations, the data that was produced as part of that, our team has done an outstanding job really looking to see, is there another way to do this? What is our transportation need? It has been a thoughtful, collaborative, and well-informed process, and you all have been part of that. We've had several work sessions where you've asked questions. We've gone back and gathered more information. The polling that was done, the interaction with the community has been outstanding. And so, like you said, Chair Kafalis, we don't take this lightly as a county. Staff certainly does not take this lightly to ask for you to propose a sales tax on a ballot for voters to consider. But we do believe it is the best option. It will get us towards solving the problem, and it will give us funds to leverage those federal and state dollars that we could bring to our community to improve our transportation infrastructure in many ways.
Great. Thank you, Lorenda. So at this time, I'd like to ask Commissioner Stevens if you would please offer the motion.
Yes, Mr. Chair. I move to approve the resolution describing a proposal for the imposition of a 0.15% countywide transportation sales and use tax to fund road and bridge and other transportation infrastructure improvements focused on safety, congestion, maintenance, and mobility, referring a ballot issue to the 2024 general election ballot for the approval of such proposal and calling an election.
Thanks, Commissioner. I believe that is a proper motion. Colleagues, any further discussion? I'm checking with our county attorney. That is indeed a proper motion. Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That passes 3-0. Congratulations to all of us. Well done. I believe there's a little bit of work ahead of us. Thank you all. Have a good day, folks. And Mark, you're looking very dashing today.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
All right, moving right along. Item number 2 is, I think we have 3 proclamations. This one is regarding September as National Suicide Prevention Month in Larimer County, and I believe we have our esteemed Public Health Director. Welcome, sir. Please introduce yourself for the record and proceed.
Yes, thank you, Commissioners and County Manager Volker, Tom Gonzalez, Public Health Director. I'm here this morning to thank you on behalf of the Board of Health and many of my colleagues in recognizing the proclamation in front of you of September National Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month. With me today making remarks, we have Dr. Jared Olson, our population epidemiologist, going to talk about some of the data trends, some encouraging trends when it comes to suicide. Also, Rachel Olson, our Deputy Director for the Alliance for Suicide Prevention in Larimer County, to talk about what collaborative approaches we take here in Larimer County and how we're making a difference as a community. Also, we have others in the crowd supporting this proclamation: Steve Hanks, our Larimer County Coroner; Emily Humphrey, our Criminal Justice Alternatives Director; and Amy Martonis, our Behavioral Health Services Director. So we thank them for being here in support. You know, this proclamation is about raising awareness when it comes to suicide and looking at the mental health, behavioral health, the substance use abuse issues that are a factor when it comes to suicide. And that we know access to lethal means is another means that carries on suicide. And we're here to remind everyone that resources are available and that suicide is preventable. You know, we know that an effective behavioral health system, we know that connectiveness, a sense of belonging within your community are great risk protective factors. In fact, the Larimer County Community Health Improvement Plan that was just approved by the Board of Health this spring emphasizes one of our priorities is just that we're going to increase social support and connective for families in Larimer County, including priority groups that we see the data shows sometimes they're more lonely, sometimes they're not as connected. That's our veterans, our youth, our elders, LGBTQIA, people of color, and those living with disabilities. So we are working together, over 60 community partners strong, on making sure everyone in Larimer County belongs and has a sense of belonging and feels connected. Because we know if we have those connectiveness, suicide, mental health, those issues, they lower. And that's a big, big, big protective factor. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Jared Olson. He will give us some data. And then, as I said, we'll give it over to Rachel Olson from the Alliance for Suicide Prevention. Jared?
Thank you, Tom. Thank you. And you may have mentioned some of the colleagues that are here, but I don't, was Emily mentioned? Okay, good. Morning, sir.
Good morning. Great. Good morning, commissioners. Thank you for having me. My name is Jared Olson. I'm the senior population epidemiologist for the Larimer County Department of Health and Environment. So just wanted to give you a brief overview of some of the progress this community has made with preventing suicide death in Larimer County. So if we take a quick look here, we have since 2018, a decline in the number of overall deaths, most dramatically from 2022 to 2023. We know that these are relatively small numbers and can vary from year to year, but certainly the overall trend is encouraging, and one that's that we want to continue to pursue and push further. And then if we want to take a quick look comparing ourselves to the state of Colorado overall, we can take a look at the rate of suicide deaths. So this is suicide deaths per 100,000 persons. You can see Colorado is pretty stable from that 2018 to 2023 time period. While Larimer County, initially starting out above the Colorado rate, has declined again pretty precipitously from 2022 to 2023. 2019 is a good baseline. That's the year that Larimer County joined the Colorado National Collaborative for Suicide Prevention. The initial goal there was a 20% decline in suicide deaths. There has subsequently been a 28% decline, almost a 30% decline in Larimer County. Colorado as a state is basically flat, down about 3% from that 2019 baseline. So certainly that's something we want to sustain and continue to work on.
Thank you, Jared.
Over to Rachel.
Welcome, Rachel.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for having me here. Rachel Olson, Deputy Director of the Alliance for Suicide Prevention. I'm so grateful to be here with you to recognize September as Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. Our county's commitment to suicide prevention has been nothing but astounding, and we are so grateful to you. We launched the Colorado National Collaborative, as mentioned, in 2019 with the goal of reducing suicide rates of 20% in 5 years. When they told us that goal, we thought it was a complete moonshot. But due to our county's collaboration and commitment to mental and behavioral health and working across the 6 pillars of the CNC, which are connectedness, economic stability and support, education and awareness, access to suicide safer care, lethal means safety, And postvention, we have been able to meet that goal and exceed it, which is just remarkable. We are so grateful to align our work across the community through the Larimer County CHIP, the Northern Colorado Intersections Report, the Behavioral Health Master Plan, and many asset maps that help us streamline our collaborations across the community. We, as the Alliance, are a needed hub to spur this work, but we are so grateful to see all of this work being embedded into systems across the county. A few of the examples are represented by the amazing people here today. The tremendous efforts of all 3 of our school districts working on our youth mental health behavioral task force to expand their mental health and behavioral health throughout the staff and students. The commitment of UC Health, Banner, and Summit Stone to the Zero Suicide Framework, increasing more access and comprehensive care. The creation of the Suicide Fatality Review Board in collaboration with the Coroner's Office that has helped us gain more insight and understanding to identify prevention and intervention needs. The work of the Juvenile Gun Safety Coalition and their PSA, It Only Takes a Moment, and the Alliance's continued effort to provide gun locks and safes in our community to anyone who needs one. The creation of the Veteran Suicide Prevention Coalition and the crisis intercept mapping that we've been able to do alongside SAMHSA. And, of course, the tremendous accomplishment of opening the Longview campus, providing 24/7 access to acute care for people in our community. We are amazed and honored to work alongside of all of you in this work. We know our work is never done. We all have a part to play in suicide prevention, and we are here to work alongside you to keep these numbers dropping and continue our good efforts. So thank you.
Thank you kindly, Rachel. Tom, were you intending that any of our other cross-sectionality partners were going to speak?
As always, they are certainly welcome.
So we have folks from Community Justice Alternatives, from the Coroner's Office, and certainly our Behavioral Health Services Department. Do any of you folks wish to say anything? I guess they're being a bit shy this morning.
I do thank our county manager, Volker, for her support in this, so I absolutely welcome County Manager Volker's comments.
Yeah, this is one of those things. There is not a person in the room whose suicide has not touched in some way. It is a tragic event that can be prevented, and there are resources. And if this proclamation does nothing but remind people that there are places to go, there are safe people to talk to, that suicide is permanent and the problem may be temporary. And I think while our numbers look better in our community, 0 is the goal. And if we could prevent suicide through making sure these resources are known, making it okay to talk about, then that's what we're here to do today.
So I thank you, Lorenda. I think the way we'll do this is, at this time, if my colleagues have any questions, comments, observations, then we'll ask Commissioner Shattuck McNally to read the proclamation, and we'll see if there are any other further comments, and then we'll vote, and then I imagine we'll do a picture. So at this time, let's see, Commissioner Shattuck McNally, do you have any questions, comments, observations?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you all in the audience, some very treasured and valued faces to me. I've been spending a lot of time with you over the last few years, for a long time. Back when we worked on behavioral health, mental health matters 1A and passed this to the voters. And thank you, voters of Larimer County, for supporting that mental health initiative sales tax. We have done a lot of great work, and we're going to talk about that continued great work with the impact grants, which have, I think, tremendously helped support those organizations, our partners, to increase early intervention and access. I always get up, hits me right here every time. My family has been impacted by suicide more than once, by extended family members and friends and my daughter's friends. And it is something that never heals and goes away. And anything I can do is kind of part of my life's mission to work and help people understand that it is okay not to be okay and to ask for help, and what we can do to reduce the stigma. Because as Commissioner, our County Manager, Lorenda Volker says, and I found during that campaign, is that pretty much I have not met one person whose life has not been impacted by suicide or suicidal ideations. And so we have done some tremendous work. There's hundreds and dozens of people who should high five themselves, including all of you in this room, for the outcomes that we have seen. We've worked very hard and stayed close partners, collaborators, and conveners to doing this work, and to in many-pronged approach, through our public health department, through our nonprofits, through our even our coroner's office. Our coroner has done a great job to do this fatality review committee, and Dr. Gerald Olson helping us bring all the data together. Thanks for that information today. This is so important. And Emily Humphreys, I was opening the back of my car yesterday morning to hike at 4 a.m. and there are my gun safety locks. And I was thinking about you as I was hiking, and all of you with the gun safety, juvenile gun safety coalition. And it only takes a moment. That is still very powerful work. And I will be continually doing whatever I can to help get one more life saved by getting, appropriate gun safety storage. So this is something real important to me for Suicide Awareness Month. I'm wearing my butterfly, which has a semicolon, and I won't talk about, all of that. But, for me, I wear this today. I know purple is kind of the color, purple and teal, for a lot of things regarding behavioral health. But I wore the symbol of hope today, because butterflies are symbols of hope and new beginnings and transformations. And often they're used for suicide prevention and mental health awareness, which is why this pen's so special to me. And green, I think, is also just a sign of health in general for all of us and our county. And so I feel like it's something, this proclamation today is not just a proclamation, but our signal to hope for our community. And a lot of us through the last few years have been dealt a lot of challenges, or our loved ones have been dealt a lot of challenges. And some of these might be more complex than others. Some of us face housing challenges, economic changes, life status changes, and we all are in this together. And I hope that at times, if anyone's listening today, that you feel like your world is crashing around you, there is hope. There is help. And there's those in your community that want to help you. And we have lots of resources, so please reach out, talk to someone. You're never bothering anyone, even if it's 4 a.m. And anyone can learn these skills to help suicide prevention. I think back to the gentleman, the Alliance for Suicide Prevention helped provide QPR training up in Estes Park, and this older gentleman who was over 80 wanted to learn how to do this, and his whole world was opened up that he wasn't so scared to talk about this with his loved ones and how we can help them. So anyone has this opportunity to help others, and just ask, sign up, be part of the team. We're all in this together. And so just it takes strength and power from all of us to fight the stigma, and we think we're doing a great job as that Fight the Stigma event this weekend. And for all of us to take a step forward together, as we've done in this county, to see these 4 years of decreased numbers, which is absolutely extraordinary. But I agree, we need to get to 0. I don't want any other family to go through the pain that my family has gone through. So, what I want to just say, everybody, this life, your life, our lives, and this day is beautiful, and your story matters. And your hope matters. It all matters. And I hope that you'll reach out and talk to someone. And I'm really proud that we're doing this proclamation today and that we have all these amazing partners here in Larimer County. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Shattuck McNally. Commissioner Stevens, you have any thoughts, comments?
Yeah, I do. Thank you, Commissioner. Well, thank you, Tom, and our partners, everyone who's here. I appreciate the work that you're doing. I agree with Commissioner Shattuck McNally. This is a collaborative thing, and I'm really glad our whole community has really committed to doing this work. And it looks different in different spaces. And when we talk about economic stability, I think that that's a piece that sometimes goes unnoticed in this. But when you feel despair about not being able to take care of your family or making ends meet, you can start to think about, how do I get out of this situation that feels hopeless and untenable? And so I think that, some of the work that we're doing around eviction protection and housing and workforce development and childcare is really crucial. Obviously we are more than happy to fund programming in our community, but I think that taking that comprehensive look at, what people need, what are some of the root causes and what do people need to be healthy in our community. We see this with child abuse prevention as well, is that man, when you can't figure out how to pay your rent or feed your family, it's a very bleak existence, and that can lead to thoughts of suicide or other kinds of thoughts that aren't good and healthy for our community. And so, as much as I'm committed to doing the mental health work, I think we're all committed to doing this other work that builds that up. So, and as far as, I appreciate so much that the Board of Health has, taken on this sense of belonging as a real goal and priority for you. And we have done that the same way in our strategic plan. We have objective 1 is promote health and well-being for our community. And under objective 1 is 1A, which is increase social support, connection, and a sense of belonging in our community. We know some of that got lost during COVID. Some of that was lost already even before COVID. But how do we make sure that everyone feels like they belong in our community? It's not that easy to get at that, and yet I think that is one of the root causes of people's feeling that despair and hopelessness. And so I just appreciate the work that everybody in this room is doing. I appreciate the collaboration with the coroner's office to really dig into these numbers and really work as a partner in this. There again, it's going to take. It took everyone in this room and many others to make those numbers go down, and to get to that 0, it's going to take just even more Herculean effort. But I know that people in this community are up for it. I know that we have all been touched by suicide, which is a really sad thing to say. But you've all shown that there's a way forward, and to keep decreasing these numbers till they get to 0. And I'm just thankful for the work you've all done.
Thank you, Commissioner. I agree with the comments made by my Commissioner colleagues, so thank you for making those comments. I think I would just add 2 things. There was a reference to the Fight the Stigma event at the Lyric on Saturday night, which both Commissioner Shattuck McNally and I attended, and it was a great event. Second annual. There were 2 organizations that received Community Appreciation Awards. One was our very own Stone Soup through the Larimer County Jail, and another was a group that I had never heard of before. They're called Blast and Scrap, and they do a lot of extraordinary harm reduction work. And they also do a lot of work reaching out to the LGBTQIA community and trying to help musicians, artists be successful. So I thought that was great. And the second comment I wanted to make, other than a lot of gratitude for all the hard work, it's a team effort, is I think it was on Saturday. I don't know if any of you heard it on NPR, whatever, one of their Saturday afternoon shows. Was about the origin of the suicide prevention hotline. I don't know if anyone saw that, but you might kind of look for it. Apparently it started with 3 providers in San Francisco, and they came to an early conclusion that if we are available and listen to folks, that can go a long way. Then they did further research, and eventually it was fascinating, the evolution of all this and how it went from a localized area to eventually becoming a national hotline, and some of the concerns around centralizing the telephone number, and the proper training of folks who were receiving those calls, and making sure that if you called, somebody was actually there to answer. So I just thought that was real interesting, and I think it was on Saturday, perhaps Sunday, but folks may want to check that out. I believe that's all I have to say. At this time, we'll ask Commissioner Shattuck McNally to read the proclamation, offer the motion, and then we'll vote, and then we'll take a picture or 2. Oh, yes, Would you read that?
Yes, I will. Just waiting to see if you were ready.
Yes, I believe I'm done.
Thank you. I am proud and very honored to read this joint proclamation between the Board of County Commissioners of Larimer County and the Larimer County Board of Health, a joint proclamation designated September 2024 as Suicide Prevention Month in Larimer County. Whereas the month of September is National Suicide Prevention Month, a time in which individuals, organizations, and communities around the country join their voices to amplify the message that suicide can be prevented. And whereas the Board of County Commissioners of Larimer County and the Larimer County Board of Health have a joint interest in the prevention of suicide in Larimer County. And whereas the Alliance of Suicide Prevention of Larimer County, the Larimer County Juvenile Gun Safety Coalition, and Larimer County's Department of Community Justice Alternatives and Behavioral Health Services work to prevent suicide in Larimer County. And whereas many people in Larimer County are faced with stressful life events, prolonged stress, substance use disorders, and mental health conditions, and good mental health is a critical part of overall health and is essential at every stage of life. And whereas having access to lethal means such as firearms increases the risk of suicide, and residents can help by keeping firearms safely stored and locked. And whereas the signs of suicide and finding the words to communicate with someone, in addition to reaching out to local resources, can help prevent suicide. And whereas all residents of Larimer County have access to free suicide prevention training, so they are equipped with knowledge of the signs of suicide, the appropriate language to communicate with someone, and the local resources to refer that person to, so that lives are saved. And whereas grief following a suicide is often a complex and overwhelming experience, and support is available. And whereas the 2024 through 2029 Larimer County Community Health Improvement Plan prioritizes increasing social support and connection for older adults, youth, families, communities of color, LGBTQIA, veterans, and persons living with disabilities, with an emphasis on equity. And whereas since 2019, the number of suicides in Larimer County have decreased 25% plus, emphasizing that by working together, we can make a difference in preventing suicide. Whereas all Larimer County residents are urged to play a role in suicide prevention and promoting mental health and wellness as we strive towards zero suicides. And whereas September is recognized across the United States as Suicide Prevention Month, which provides the opportunity to educate the community about the warning signs for suicide and how to reach out and connect to those experiencing an emotional crisis or loss. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Larimer County Board of Health and all the members of the Larimer County Board of County Commissioners that September 2024 be declared Suicide Prevention Month in Larimer County, dated this third day of September 2024 in Fort Collins by the Larimer County Board of Health or Board of County Commissioners, and will be done September 19th in 2024 in Fort Collins by the Larimer County Board of Health.
Thank you, Commissioner. Please offer the motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the joint proclamation designated September 2024 as Suicide Prevention Month in Larimer County.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much. That's a proper motion. Colleagues, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. That passes 3-0. Well done, colleagues. We'll take about a 5-minute or less pause to do a photo op.
Thank you.
And everyone is invited or required. Okay, welcome back, folks. We took a pause for a couple of photographs. We completed a proclamation declaring September as Suicide Prevention Month. A lot of good team effort there. We'll move on to our next item, which is another proclamation. And this one, let's see. This one has to do with Emergency Preparedness Month. Who is going to present that?
I will do that on behalf of our Office of Emergency Management Director, Lori Hodges. September is the month that we like to draw attention to the fact that we have natural disasters and emergencies in our community. As we were recently reminded, I think folks in Larimer County know this all too well. And while we have skilled responders who will help during an emergency, it's important to have a personal plan. And so, like the national proclamation, we ask you all to adopt the Emergency Preparedness Proclamation for September. I think there's some resources available on the emergency management website, which is larimer.gov/emergency. There's a tab called Plan and Prepare that has some very good information on it to create your personal plan. But personal accountability is the first way that we can begin to prepare for a natural disaster, having your records in a box that you can pick up and easily move, understanding where you live and what the dangers are in your community. If you live in a wooded area, are you doing mitigation planning and those kinds of things? And certainly even the best planning, you still need to potentially evacuate. And so what does that mean to you and your paperwork and your photos and all those things that are important in your home that you'd like to make sure are preserved? So this is a reminder for our community. There are some events going on throughout the month in Fort Collins and in Loveland. There is a program that the office is working on called Dare to Prepare that will be rolling out. It's an educational program that is in person and taught. And so I encourage all the residents in the community to, even if you think you're not in an area that might need to be evacuated, you might not have electricity for some period of time, or you might have a snowstorm that prevents you from leaving your home. And how might you prepare for those kind of emergencies as well? So on behalf of Lori Hodges, I encourage the community to take these classes, to go to the website, take a look, and get yourself prepared for these events that may happen in our community.
Thanks, Lorinda. Let's change things up a bit. Let's go with the reading of the proclamation. Commissioner Stevens, if you would do that, please. Offer the motion, and then if we have questions or if we have comments, we can offer them then.
Sure, Mr. Chair. This is the Larimer County Proclamation declaring September 2024 Emergency Preparedness Month. Whereas Larimer County's severe weather extremes can significantly threaten the community members and employees of Larimer County by causing power outages, whiteout conditions, flooding, wildfires, mudslides, vehicle accidents, and washed out roads. And whereas National Preparedness Month is a nationwide coordinated effort sponsored by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security each September to encourage Americans to prepare for emergencies in their homes, businesses, and schools. And whereas the Board of County Commissioners recognizes the benefit of having an informed public for home and family preparedness, including community members, employees, individuals with household pets, and individuals with access and functional needs. And whereas during the month of September, Larimer County will urge employees and community members to take measures to make themselves and their families better prepared for emergencies. And whereas the Larimer County Office of Emergency Management's Community Education Program, Dare to Prepare, will be open to the public to sign up, the Dare to Prepare Community Education Program aims to instill confidence and readiness in responding to and recovering from disasters that impact our region. And whereas public events will occur in Larimer County, Loveland, and Fort Collins throughout the month of September to educate community members about the risk of wildfire and flooding. And whereas Larimer County community members and employees can prepare for emergencies, help lessen the damage and destruction they cause, and help protect their lives and property if they are aware of precautions they can take before and during emergency situations. Most importantly, training helps to enhance the safety of the county's greatest asset, our people. Therefore, be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Larimer County Colorado, that the month of September 2024 be designated as Emergency Preparedness Month. Oh, and the motion is, I move to approve the proclamation declaring September 2024 as Emergency Preparedness Month.
Great. Thanks, Commissioner. Colleagues, do you have any comments at this time? Yeah, Commissioner Stevens?
Yeah, happy to have this come before us. I'm sorry we didn't have somebody from the Office of Emergency Management to help present this, but it certainly is being prepared is very important. We just got through with the wildfire. Now flooding is the big risk that happens after that, and we are not out of wildfire season because it no longer has a season. It can occur year round. So just encourage the community to be prepared. I did look up the dates for the Dare to Prepare fall session for 2024. It will be Saturday, September 21st from 8:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. at the Larimer County Emergency Operations Center, and there is a sign-up form on the website if you want to join that. So I would encourage folks to do so. If not, I think there are other opportunities if people just want to read or kind of read up on some of the ways they can prepare for emergency on the same website. I think that the extension also offers some support in this way as well, but just want people to be prepared. It is always scary in a community when we have these kind of situations arise, but being prepared helps at least prevent some of that fear. Having a plan is a good idea, and we're grateful to community members who either go through the program or develop a plan for themselves and their family members. Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner Shattuck McNally.
Thank you. So knowing how it is to look at evacuation zones heading towards your home several times, living in this wonderful county of ours, and knowing how important it is to know what you need to bring with you and prepare. This is a really important reminder. We can't emphasize this enough, especially after Alexander Mountain Fire. There was a lot of folks who, there was a great article in the paper about a woman who, her husband was out of town and she had, it had a flat on one of her vehicles, and luckily she had other things ready, but it's just really sad that they lost their home, but they have been trying to get ready to prepare. And it is, I had a wildfire town hall last week in Berthoud, and there were some older adults who had came to the town hall, and they had said, raise their hand. We would, after we had said, you need to sign up for 988. And they said, well, I need oxygen, and my oxygen tank, once I'm out, only lasts for an hour. So what should I do? And it was really great to be able to tell them, sign up, and you can go and fill out the form online to say you have medical needs and you might need help with the oxygen. So then that when first responders come to evacuate, or they might need, they need extra support to get out or to get evacuated, or they'll need support when they get to where they're going. And that is part of this emergency preparedness, to know that even if we work so hard, and our emergency services and sheriff and OEM do such a great job in contacting folks, even sometimes at their door, knocking on their door to evacuate, we all have the responsibility, as residents of this wonderful county, to be prepared and understand what we need to do to help our first responders be safe and help us evacuate. And I think having that information, and having this person who's lived in this county a long time and didn't know that was an opportunity for them to sign up to explain their need for oxygen, was to me a huge win. And this is what this proclamation is about. We know that there's some folks that are high at risk after the Alexander Mountain Fire, and we've been doing a lot of education and support for them to understand what the needs are and how to sign up for alerts. And so even those folks who live in municipalities and maybe don't live in unincorporated parts of the Larimer County up in the foothills like I do, please sign up for the nocoalerts.org. Go on and have those, even if you travel for recreating, knowing that it is a year-round fire season, and there's always that post-fire flooding, and we're still seeing some of those impacts from the Camera Peak fire with the quality of water. And I think it's really important. It's not to strike fear. It's for all of us to build resilience and to empower through knowledge and preparedness all of our residents, and hopefully they'll help, empower and educate our visitors to be prepared. And this is hopefully going to help prevent loss of life and help folks even prepare for their homes and their belongings for these unfortunate events, which we know is always when these are coming, and we certainly have had that real reinforcement of that message back in August. So very glad to support this proclamation and grateful that we're taking a moment to re-emphasize this important message. Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner. I agree with everything that's been said. I'll just simply add that one of the best ways to prepare for emergencies is to build community, and wanted to point out that this coming Saturday, September 7th, is the annual Risk Canyon Mountain Festival. The proceeds of that celebration go to the Risk Canyon Fire Protection District, Volunteer Fire Protection District, and that is a great opportunity to build communities, have some fun, raise some money for these volunteer firefighters, and that's on Saturday, September 7th, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. That's all I have to say. We have a motion before us. I believe it's been offered. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That passes 3-0. Once again, we'll pause. We have a proclamation here, and we'll take a picture.
Do we need a photo since?
Oh.
I apologize,
Wait,
Mr.
okay.
Chairman.
There's a question about, do we need a photo? Do you think we need a photo?
I mean, there's no one here from the community or from emergency management, so I would forego
Okay,
that.
we'll skip it. We'll move on. Thank you. I wasn't sure. Let's move on to the next proclamation. Although we do have a proclamation, we'll share that with Lori Hodges and her team. The next one is regarding Workforce Development Month, and we have our Economic and Workforce Development Director. Welcome, sir.
That's right. That's right. Good morning, Board of County Commissioners. Good morning,
Thank you.
County Manager, and those tuning in also through technology access. Mark Johnston. As Commissioner Kafalis mentioned, I am Larimer County's Economic and Workforce Development Director. Continue to be struck by the interwoven importance of the topics today, and how there's this connection to economic and workforce development across all of them. So as we steer into the month of September, one that begins with the celebration of Labor Day, the Larimer County Economic and Workforce Development Department and Colorado Department of Labor and Employment participate in an annual tradition celebrated nationwide, recognizing Workforce Development Month in September. The goal is to bring attention to the critical role that workforce development services play in our county, in our communities, in our state, and our nation, and to acknowledge the commitment made to support such an environment. Throughout the month, I'd like to take notice that our region here in Larimer County, in addition to the 9 other regions across Colorado, will be networking, be showcasing the wide, diverse set of services happening across this public workforce system. You can follow along weekly themes that we will be sharing data, some success stories, both business and participant related, at our website at larimer.org/EWD. So we encourage you to do that. Just a couple of quick things. During calendar year 23, our most recent full year of data collection, just wanted to note a couple of at-a-glance, well, maybe a few more than a couple, at-a-glance statistics that make me really proud and hopefully support the meaning of this proclamation. Here in Larimer County, over 10,500 individuals utilize services at Larimer County Economic and Workforce Development, of which over 4,000 of those people accessed what we consider direct staff-assisted services. These are located here at 200 West Oak physically on our 5th floor, but we also have a Zoom communication platform where we're offering services and we're deeply embedded across community partners. So we take our show on the road, so to speak. The broader Colorado public workforce system served over 13,000 employers here in our state, accessing 11 core services, things such as job postings, screening services, helping to modernize job descriptions, and even things like rapid response services, where we see employers who are in reduction of their talent systems receiving support. Here in Larimer County, over 481 participants accessed intensive wraparound services, laid off workers, adults with barriers seeking new pathways, young adults disconnected. Almost 750 accessed reskill, upskill, next skill services. So these, imagine these as certificates, degrees, licenses to help compete in our labor market where employers need help. Almost 400 work-based learning activities were facilitated out of the department in 23. We have a conservation corps, over 30,000 hours of service provided. And when we talk emergency management, imagine teams doing fire mitigation, flood restoration, but then also going into people's homes and doing energy audits to help reduce carbon and water. Couple of last notes. Super proud of our role in helping to lead and convene the launch of NOCO Works. This is a regional, I've heard regional a number of times today, a regional workforce development network of partners within both Larimer and Weld counties. And we sure try hard to work to align, leverage, cross-system work, so we do it together to be most effective. And then a final small note, Colorado here will launch a new, we call it a labor exchange system. This is where employers connect online to meet talent, and we anticipate this new system, which has not been modernized for over 25 years, will launch in the first half of the calendar year 25, embracing much more technology to help us connect. So as our Economic and Workforce Development Director, I'm proud of the work we support. We have a couple of staff here in the audience, two key leaders, Marcy Kasner, our Associate Director of Workforce Development, and Wendy Horst, our Accounting Manager. Please know that our staff really recognizes the power of collaboration and how we work together multiplies our impact. So I invite our community to learn more. Again, at larimer.org/EWD, or give us a call at 970-498-6600. So thanks so much.
Thank you, Mark, and thanks to your colleagues who are here. I appreciate that you acknowledge them. Colleagues, let's see if we have any questions. I keep moving things around a bit, kind of make sure everybody's paying attention. So we'll ask any questions of Mark, make some comments if we wish. We'll ask Commissioner Stevens to read the proclamation, offer the motion, make a decision, and then pictures.
Okay, so first questions.
Yeah.
Is that right? Okay.
I just want to make sure everybody's paying attention.
I'm trying to. So thank you, Mark and Marcy, Wendy, for also being here. Appreciate the work that you're doing. Can you just talk a little bit about some of the work? We're trying to embed, equity and diversity into a lot of the work that we do. Can you talk about how you do that in your work? And I know that, in the beginning of the proclamation, there's you talk about working with veterans and justice-involved youth, but can you just elaborate on some of the work that we do maybe to get people who, to give people, lifting people up that maybe are in communities where they're not exposed to as many opportunities for jobs and what that might look like?
Yep. Yeah. It's probably one of the primary reasons why I've made a career of this. I mean, we are just designed to build equity, diversity within the system. And what I mean by that is inevitably connecting to underrepresented populations is expected federally from this work. So a couple of things come to mind. The work that we've really doubled down on sending community navigators out into the field, into neighborhoods, areas of the county that are underrepresented, may not know about us. These are multi-language individuals who are trying to provide different kinds of access, increased access for our residents. Young people who are disproportionately disconnected, who are what I like to consider kind of spinning, frankly. We are out in the community across a network of partners trying to capture those young people to come in. I didn't mention it, but over almost 40 young people received high school equivalency diplomas last year, better known as GEDs, to try to help them get a foothold in their education to move forward. So,
Great, thank you. Are we supposed to make comments and directly after? Okay. Well, I will just say thank you for your work. I really appreciate it, and thank you for expanding on how we're, helping young people get work and find meaningful work, because we know how that everybody wants meaningful work that pays well, and so that is important. And one of the things that's in the proclamation is that that with the 4,000 people with the staff assisted services, that you've increased wage earnings by over $18,000 after they've had those services, and so that's remarkable. That's, I mean, $18,000 is maybe somebody's mortgage payment for the year if they're lucky, or their childcare. But I mean, it certainly makes a difference in your life if you can increase your income by $18,000. So this is great work. We'll, we support the work you're doing. We, appreciate that you probably do have a lot of federal and mandated requirements, but I know that you also go above and beyond to do this work because it's important. So thank you all three of you for being here today, and I'm looking forward to making the proclamation.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Shaddock McAnally, questions or comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mark and team. I really appreciate you guys being here, especially since you've been here since the beginning and the whole entire meeting. And hopefully it has been meaningful for you. And I appreciate you making the connection between all of what we've talked so far about today and how that workforce development and meaningful work is really connected with transportation and mental health and importance of that of that circle that we showed in the transportation thing. That's all connected, and I think that's really an important point you made. Also, yesterday was Labor Day, and importance of workers' rights and protecting those folks, and just the importance of meaningful work, because working families, hardworking folks have built this great country, and so we have a long history of work and helping those navigate some complex systems that is really helpful. And I'm always amazed. There's so much unseen work that you all do that is so critical for the progression of our county. And I'm looking over at your team because they're very unsung heroes, but what they do is just outstanding. And I would love to, anybody in the public who wants to talk about this, be more than happy to sit down and talk about the amazing work, the NOCO Ready, and even the creation of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce for Larimer, all these things that have really progressed under a lot of your leadership and your team's tireless work. I'm glad you brought up the graduation. I was very pleased to make that that event in Loveland and seeing those youth that really you guys didn't give up on. You navigated, kept them going, because you know how important that is for them to reach that important milestone and what that does to open so many opportunities and doors for them. But when I think about your department from youth and that GED and that wonderful ceremony, which I have to tell you, those things like that uplift my heart and recharge my battery. Why I love this job as county commissioner and why I think we have an outstanding county. We do amazing things that maybe folks don't realize or see every day up on social media or things. But this is important for the long-term vibrancy and for everyone in this county to thrive. But I see you also doing for older adults at the end of a career, looking to still stay meaningful and engage, and you have things for that. and programs and support for that. So really, this wide range, depth and breadth of what you offer is just outstanding, and extremely proud of the work that you all do, and very proud to support this proclamation, and just appreciate just all the things that the community members that you're trying to reach out and get them connected. It's really important, and the digital work that you do as well. Very, very, very big work. So thank you for being here today, and grateful for this proclamation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner. I'll just make a quick comment, and I have a question. Then we'll go to the proclamation and vote. My comments are, one is that I appreciate a lot of the things that have been said. I echo it, exclamation points, all of that. I know that the customer service is really important for you all. And whenever I come up to the 5th floor, sometimes it's on my way to the 6th floor. Most people don't know we have a 6th floor. Technically, it's the roof. But when I go and ask questions or look for someone, people always drop everything. They are the front line folks, Octavio, Ryan, and others that I'm neglecting to mention. I apologize for that. I just think their customer service skills are tremendous and very welcoming, and I'm sure folks are dealing with a lot of issues trying to figure out how to navigate and how to find a halfway decent job and all the rest. So thank you to that. And the regionalism, of course, is important. This is an example of how we can play in the same sandbox with Weld County, for example. This is an area that we totally agree on, and it's a collaborative thing. And of course, it ties into the intersectionality of all these issues, especially the transportation one, because there's folks who live in Greeley because it's cheaper to live in Greeley and who work here and vice versa. And I think that's important as well. My question is this: could you tell us a little bit about the upcoming September symposium?
Oh yeah, I would love to.
But be on focus, because we're
We'll be brief.
at 11:20 and we have something really important next.
We care and our customers matter. That is part of our mission, Commissioner Kafalis. September Symposium, it's the last Tuesday, will be held out at Ames Community College, the Welcome Center. Again, a nod to regionalism. This is where Weld and Larimer's public workforce system comes together. And you can expect a 3-quarter day, essentially conference for the audience of business. So a lot of small businesses, mid-sized businesses, hiring managers, business owners, where we curate a number of topics that we believe through their feedback will be of value.
How do folks register?
Larimer.org/EWD.
And I've expressed an interest to attend the keynote address, which I believe is at 1:30. And I haven't discussed this with my colleagues yet, but if you could make note of that, Lorinda, to see if there's a way, it would be great to hear my old friend Rich Feller enlighten us about what's happening regionally, nationally, globally in the space of workforce development, career counseling, all of those kinds of things. If it's possible, I may try to come. Thank you very much. Let's do the proclamation, Commissioner Stevens, and then we'll wrap up with Commissioner Shattuck McNally and the next topic.
Yes, Mr. Chair. So here's the proclamation declaring September 2024 as Workforce Development Month. Whereas the Larimer County Economic and Workforce Development Department and broader Colorado workforce system is committed to supporting a Colorado for all, including workers with disabilities, veterans, justice-involved youth, new Americans, laid-off workers, adults experiencing poverty, and all communities. And whereas globalization, market forces, demographic shifts, and technological advances are shaping our economy today and require workforce solutions that are agile and innovative. And whereas hundreds of workforce professionals within Colorado's workforce system and dozens at our local Larimer County level are committed to supporting a thriving environment for workers and employers. And whereas Colorado's workforce has access to a variety of workforce development services, including modern job search support, connection to employment and career counseling, access to digital literacy, work-based learning, and individual training account solutions to competitively position themselves within our local labor market. And whereas our state's locally driven workforce ecosystem is business-led, aligned with educators, employers, and economic developers to encourage more diversity in hiring, enhance regional workforce development, and ensure we are building a labor force that businesses need to make Colorado the best place to work. And whereas Larimer County Economic and Workforce Development System is supported by our Larimer County Board of County Commissioners, Larimer County leadership, and a workforce development board with members stretching across private, nonprofit, and public entities to help advise and shape local programming. And whereas the Larimer County Economic and Workforce Development Department seeks to innovate and advance strategies to educate stakeholders of the talent and workforce development ecosystem in Colorado in order to build a pipeline of skilled talent and quality jobs for workers to prosper. And whereas in 2023, the Larimer County Economic and Workforce Development Department helped more than 10,500 job seekers, of which over 4,000 accessed staff-assisted services, increasing wage earnings by over $18,000. Oh, $18,000? Okay, there was some extra zeros. When considering wages prior to staff-assisted services versus wages after staff-assisted services. And whereas the Colorado workforce system has helped more than 13,000 employers navigate and thrive in today's worker shortage landscape by ensuring customers receive consistent business services statewide across 11 core services, including screening, job posting, hiring events, and rapid response. Now, therefore, we, the Larimer County Board of County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim the month of September as Workforce Development Month and call this observance to the attention of our community members. And the motion is,
Thanks, Commissioner.
yep, I move to approve the proclamation declaring September 2024 as Workforce Development Month.
Excellent. Proper motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That passes 3-0. We will now pause for a couple of minutes for a photograph. That will include your staff members as well.
Yes, please.
Please. Okay. Welcome back once again. We paused for a photograph. We've had a few proclamations this morning. The most recent one was declaring September as Economic and Workforce Development Month, or something close to that. We now move on to our next and final discussion item regarding our consideration for approval of the 2024 Impact Fund Grant Award recommendations.
Yes.
Welcome, colleague.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners, County Manager Volker, colleagues, and those joining us online. It's a pleasure to be with you this morning. I am joined by my colleague, Jessica Plummer, who is our Impact Fund Grant Program Manager and has contributed exceptional work to these recommendations today.
And who are you?
I am Amy Martonis, the Director of Behavioral Health Services. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
So we are here today to ask for your approval of the funding recommendations for our 2024 Impact Grant Fund award cycle. That includes a request to have an increase in the allocated funds by $200,426, bringing the total to just over $3 million for this award cycle. In this 2024 cycle, we had a record number of applications, 84 applications from organizations and programs seeking funding for the exceptional behavioral health work that's happening across our community. So many community partners doing important work. Of those 84 applications, 82 were from unique organizations, and the total request for funding this year was $7.4 million. We are recommending that 41 of these applications move forward with the funding at just over $3 million. As you're aware, this process of bringing forward recommendations for funding is a collaborative and comprehensive process that my colleague Jessica facilitates. 84 applications went through an initial review that moved forward to a subject matter expert review with a number of volunteers across our community who work in these sectors, contributing a review towards these recommendations. And those that move forward, 74 applications move forward to executive review that resulted in 41 applications being recommended for funding. These 41 recommendations were presented to the Behavioral Health Policy Council on August 19th with unanimous support to bring forward these recommendations to the board. We wanted to highlight a few of the funding recommendations. This portfolio for 2024 includes 7 new grantee programs. It includes 6 new programs within organizations that we have previously funded, and 28 continuations for funding work across our community partners. Depending on the board's timing, we'd be happy to highlight some of those organizations in more detail and recognize it's been a long agenda this morning. But we did want to also highlight for you the geographic reach of the recommended portfolio across our community for the exceptional work that's being proposed in this funding cycle. At this time, I welcome any questions, discussion, comments from the board.
Great. Thank you very much, Amy. Colleagues, well, first of all, Jessica, did you want to add anything? Nope. Okay. Colleagues, questions, comments, observations? Commissioner Shattuck McNally, please.
Thank you. First, Amy and Jessica, thank you for your work, and thanks to all the members in the Policy Council who discussed this, and to all reviewers who spent hours and hours reviewing all these record number of applications. I think they spend 30 minutes to 45 minutes on each application, and then the reviewers are very diligent, and I know this is a very robust process, so I want to highlight that and just thank you all for your diligent work that starts on June 1st to today, and it is a condensed timeline, but very important work. And not surprised, we're still seeing record numbers, but I wanted, this slide that's up in particular, I wanted to highlight because I do think, and I think I had asked this question last time, this is also a record year of how many the numbers for each of these different areas of the county. To see all of those areas and have the numbers in each of those areas, we've not had that ever, to have that kind of regional outreach and support and money going out into all these areas. And I wanted to highlight that. And I think this would be probably something that would continue. But I want to just confirm with you all as a question, and maybe that's for Jessica. Would you agree that this is probably the biggest year for getting out into different areas of communities? Because I know before we had trouble even finding some folks from Bertha, but now we have, I thought we had 4. So that, I mean, I just wanted to highlight that. And I think that's also due to a lot of your work reaching out to members in the community, doing that outreach, making sure they're aware of that. So just wanted to have you expand on that a little bit, please.
Sure. Again, Jessica Plummer. I'm program manager for the Behavioral Health Services Department. Yes, I'd say the geographic reach for a lot of the organizations are expanding. I think a lot of that happened during COVID, spurred a lot of that telehealth model. And so folks are being able to expand services beyond just their physical location by offering those services.
Thank you. And well done. Appreciate the work. That's all the question I have. Comment.
Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner Stevens, thoughts, questions?
The only question I have is, so if these are approved today, then the grantees would be notified then about that. So some of them, I mean, we got a little teaser, I guess, on the slides of who's been awarded money, but nobody's really been contacted yet until this happens. Is that correct? Yep. Okay. All right. That was my only question, but I appreciate the work that you've done. I know this is a large task for everyone involved, and I appreciate all the people who, subject matter experts and others that we've engaged to be able to do a really thorough look at these grants, because I know, I mean, everybody who applied to a person is doing great work in our community, but we have limited resources and we try to get them out to the grantees that are doing the work that, where we see gaps, and then doing innovative work in our community. So I thank you both for the work, and thank you to Commissioner Shattuck McNally for her leadership in the behavioral health sphere, and on the board, because I know that they also look at these applications as well. So appreciate everyone involved. I think that we have a great model where we have service, really core services at the Longview campus, but also have these dispersed services, and that we're really supporting people in the community who have done this work for many years and are doing this work out in different parts of the community. We need all those elements to make a really very supportive network for the people who live in our community. And so this is great work. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. Echo what's been said. I'm glad that we're continuing to improve with regard to our outreach in different parts of the county. I think when the sales tax initiative for supporting behavioral health efforts was passed the second time in 2018, well, the first time was not successful. I think one of the key elements of that was to help people understand that it wasn't just a Fort Collins thing, that it was trying to impact throughout the region. So I think we're making good progress there. And I'm hoping we'll continue to make progress with making connections with the agricultural ranching community, because their needs are pretty significant often, and perhaps different. And along those lines, I wanted to share, if you're not aware, there's an event coming up. I don't remember the details, but there was an email from our CSU Extension Director, Carrie Rollins, maybe on Friday, about a couple of films that'll be shown at the Lyric towards the end of the month, perhaps. And one of them has to do with mental health and behavioral health issues relating to agriculture. So if you're not aware of that, I'm sure one of us could forward you that email, but it may be something that you are aware of or that you are able to participate in. Amy or Jessica, anything you want to say to what I just said? Or?
Yeah, thank you for those comments, sir, and definitely want to be proactive in continuing our rural reach as well across the community, and ensuring that the grant award process and the way we're strengthening the continuum of behavioral health services across the county includes everyone across the community.
Were you folks aware of these films, or this one film that's going to be shown at the Lyric?
I did see that email that came out on Friday, and
very good.
I'm very interested in that
Excellent.
topic.
As long as you're aware.
Yeah.
Anything else, colleagues? Oh, Lorenda, yes, please.
I guess I'd just like to add, this looks like a very short conversation to grant $3 million worth of value in our community. There was a work session that was held that Amy talked about on August 26th if anyone is interested in seeing that great detail, that was an hour-long work session where this was all talked about in great detail. I would encourage you to go to larimer.gov to the Board of County Commissioners page, and you'll find that meeting there.
Great. Thank you, Lorinda. Let's see, if there is no further discussion, Commissioner Shattuck McNally, please offer the motion.
I'd be more than happy to make this motion, and thank you again for your hard work and diligence. And thanks to all of these folks who are going to be rewarded these important impact grant funds for their tireless work in the community. Today, we talked about some of the outcomes. You are making a difference, and I know we are grateful that you have applied and received these funds and continue the work. I move to approve the 2024 Impact Fund Grant Award recommendations and an allocation increase of $200,426 for a total amount of $3,426,426.
Thank you, Commissioner. Proper motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. That passes 3-0. Good work. Excellent work. All right, we have completed our discussion items. We are at 11:37 a.m. We now move on to the county manager update.
I will keep it very short, Commissioners. Budget meetings continue as we prepare to provide you with the proposed budget for 2025. We met with 8 more departments and offices last week, and those continue to go really well. And then it was a pleasure to go to the ribbon cutting and open house for the new elections counting facility. It was great to see the kind of security, the way that that process is very thoughtful in how it's run, the way that the facility was designed to facilitate that, and really to help our volunteers who run these elections for us to be more comfortable, to feel more secure, to have a little more space, to manage noise a little bit better. I congratulate the clerk's office for finishing this. The facilities department did a great job supporting them, and it was really a treat to be able to see the new facility kind of before it's used. So I know you were all there as well, and I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Lorinda. Any questions or comments for our county manager? All right, then we'll move into the commissioner activity reports, and we'll begin with Commissioner Shattuck McNally.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll just mention a few things. It was a very busy week, but I'll start with on Wednesday. I was very pleased and thankful. Sheriff Fan accepted my challenge, and as you did as well, Commissioner Kafalis, to pack for Kids Pack in their new facility, which we, as Board of County Commissioners, gave some of our American Rescue Plan dollars to support the construction. So Kids Pack finally has a home. And appreciate the sheriff and his team being good sports. Very proudly, as our commissioner team, we won that challenge. And thanks to Tom and Corinne Kerrigan and Betsy Elliott and everyone else who came and helped support that. And thanks to the judges from Blue Federal Credit Union and Dutch Brothers, who were supposed to be fair and impartial judges for the challenge. And we are very competitive between our two teams, but I appreciate everyone being such great sports. We packed 800 bags for food insecure students to take home on the weekend in the Thompson School District, which covers many communities in the southern part of the county. We had a very robust and great conversation in the Equity, Diversity, Inclusionary Advisory Board. They talked about our internal equity work, and also talked some stuff about inclusion with naming and things with the DNR, and it was a really great meeting, and I really enjoyed this meeting, and I appreciate their service and involvement on that board. We had a wildfire town hall, which was great. We had some great folks come and attend. I appreciate Justin Whitesale, Josh Roberts from OEM, Chief Daniels from Town of Berthoud and his staff that all came, and Cole Parrott from OEM and presented. We had we impacted some folks that day, and I'm really proud of that. I also continue to work with our coroner of Larimer County, Stephen Hanks, as we are working on this suicide fatality rule and review and talking about other measures we can do to further decrease our suicide rates, especially when it comes to veterans. I'm continuing to work with the Colorado AG's office. We had a great meeting as we're planning September 30th. We're hosting the regional opioid abatement councils and the Colorado Abatement Council September 30th in Larimer County, and very thrilled to have them come and be at the ranch complex in Blue Arena, and we're getting ready for those dinners. And so I got to see some of the signage and some of those things, and they're taking photos from Larimer County and using that on some of the advertising materials, and I thought that was very thoughtful, so I appreciated that very much. I was, again, just as you said, Lorenda, very pleased and just impressed so much with the new election center. And we put in about $3 million we had approved for that. And boy, what a well thought out, designed, line of sight, secure, safe, transparent building for our elections. Well done to the elections team and to our facilities team and Ken Cooper and all of them, Jen, all of them, well done. And really some thought into taking care of the care and comfort for our election judges. They have somewhere to go out and eat and put their food in the refrigerator and get away from the center and what's going on. And I just was very impressed. I'm a member of Women Give that supports women, single moms going back into school and having support with childcare and scholarships. And they had us come for a women's give night at CSU, which is wide out for the women's volleyball team. We're connected with some community partners. That was a lot of fun, and I appreciate that opportunity with connecting with folks. I rode along with rangers at Horsetooth and learned a little bit more about fire evacuations and their role, and watched just amazing community engagement about safety and flotation devices, and just some of the things that they have implemented from last year to take care with some of the user conflicts and some of the, when we get certain areas that get really crowded with boisterous folks. What a difference, and so much time and attention they have put into that, and what a great user experience. I was just so impressed with all the work that they do. And we had the Coast Guard Auxiliary there that day doing voluntary boat and safety inspections, and then they can give them a special sticker to put on their boat. And so I thank them for being a partner, and very, very impressed with all of that. At the end of the day, I was able to come and join them as Captain Chris Fleming and Steve Gibson, I believe, Ranger Steve Gibson, along with Trevor, gave out their first ever Department of Natural Resources Meritorious Service Award to 2 seasonal rangers who saved a life in August. And it was very moving to me to be able to be a part of that and the significance of that. And I just want to make sure I gave a shout out to seasonal ranger, Spencer Jenkins and Kyla Carpenter for their heroic work, and thank them for their service. And we are so fortunate to have such amazing folks serving in our open spaces at Rangers. Glad to be the Fight the Stigma event. It was great to honor Lieutenant Stacy Schaefer and Janelle Goodwin for their great work with that program, and I appreciate the community partners who also recognize their worth and the powerful work they're doing. And I have lots of other things to share, but it's a beautiful day. It was a beautiful Labor Day in Larimer County, and just grateful every day for all the things I get to do to support this work. Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner Stevens, anything you'd like to share?
Sure, I'll be brief. Last Wednesday, I went to Broadcom for a site visit with Mark Johnston and a couple city council members. So it was great to see that the work that they're doing, they have jobs that pay well, and so we learned a little bit about the workforce development work that they're doing. Also, their efforts to really rein in their carbon footprint. And so it was an interesting tour. I had never been there before to see a clean room and some of that kind of thing. So very important work that they're doing with regard to chips and different technology for cell phones. And so that was interesting. Attended a couple groups where I was able to speak. The Sertoma Club meeting on Wednesday, and the Women in Transportation Safety, or WTS NOCO, on Thursday. Was able to talk to both groups really about the Larimer on the Move safety plan that we're working on. So want to remind people that the survey is still open, and that we're probably going to enter phase 2 of our work that we're doing on our outreach. So I hope people stay connected and continue to participate in this planning that we're doing. So this is transportation and safety planning that we're doing in our community, but it was definitely well received by both groups. Had the opportunity to introduce the idea that we might be entertaining a sales tax. And so there were a lot of questions about that with the Sertoma Club. But those were both great opportunities to talk about transportation and safety in our community. And then just the only other thing I'll mention is that we had the non-attainment area air pollution mitigation enterprise, and our NOFO, or Notice of Funding Opportunity, will be going out September 30th. These are for small projects. I believe there's about $8 million in grant dollars available for small projects. Small meaning the minimum size of a grant we would give would be $500,000, but could give grants up to that $8 million. So there should be some great opportunities for communities to look at projects that both benefit their communities and reduce ground level ozone. So that is it for me. Thank you.
I suppose I'll share a couple of quick things, try to do it very quickly. One is that did attend both Commissioner Shattuck McNally and I attended the North Fort Collins Business Association meeting on last Wednesday. One of the presentations was from Brian Wilson, CSU, and gave an update on efforts to establish the Powerhouse 2 Energy Institute. So I think there's good progress happening there. The next thing I'll mention is, I suppose, Thursday night we had our fourth Livermore community conversation, an effort to answer further questions and close the loop regarding zoning, land use planning, land use development process applications, and all the various conserved lands that are up in that area. We had about 55 plus folks there. Overall, it went well. The ribbon cutting open house was really interesting and important, and I'm glad that the election division of the clerk and recorder's office will be putting together a social media campaign or a video, perhaps, the life of a ballot. And I think that will help people better understand all the various security methods that are in place and voting integrity methods that are in place. Fight the Stigma was a lot of fun. It's always good to hear John Magny and his folks. Other than that, I went to 2 memorial services over the weekend, but then got to spend Labor Day with my 7-year-old granddaughter, and that seemed like a good way to spend Labor Day. So that's all I have. I believe we have concluded our business at 11:49 a.m. We are adjourned. Thanks to our clerk and recorder friends. Thank you.